Hey guys, Prangell Gaming here. Welcome back to Talk the Wall. This is the 25th installment, and before we get right into your responses, any questions you may have had, if you haven't seen any of the other 24 installments, then why not go check them out? There is going to be a link in the description of this video for the last Talk the Wall, or you can access the playlist by clicking the I button. But as always, if you have any questions or opinions, do feel free to put them in the comments section of this video, because I want a Millwall voice throughout. And also, while you're down there, don't forget to put your score predictions for the Charlton Athletic Derby match, which is coming up, and also the one which is the home tie against Swindon. And feel free to add your opinions on what you felt went right and wrong in that match, especially the Charlton game, because that is a huge game for Millwall. But do bear in mind, I recorded this on Monday, so if anything has become outdated or any new news stories appear, then I'll cover them next week. And I'm still struggling on, as you could see yesterday, obviously, I was struggling with that cold, so I'm just going to try and give you the best delivery I can. Obviously, we just have to see how it goes. So, on to your predictions for the Scunthorpe United game. And a few of you came close this week, with Joe Holloway, Gabriel Townsend and myself saying that the score would end up finishing 3-1 to Scunthorpe. Gabriel added, "I think this because we have Steve Morrison and Byron Webster out." Moving on into the lesser, closer predictions of what you guys said, and the next closest was Alfie Ross, who said that Scunthorpe would win 2-0. Following him was Red Army TV, who said Millwall would lose 2-1. His major mistake was saying that Millwall would score. And then Joe Conway was the next person, and he said 0-0 for the scoreline, so he was kind of sitting on the fence with that one. Moving on to the predictors who thought that the Lions would win, and from the closest was Riley. He said that the scoreline would end 1-0 with Fred getting the goal for Millwall. The next predictions were shared by two people, as both Alici and Liam Buxton said the score would end up with Millwall being victorious with a 2-1 win. And finally, the person who was the furthest away was Jadams, as he said the scoreline would end 3-2 to Millwall, and he added, "Call me mad, but I think Millwall will win 2 or 3-2, should I say. And I am going, and I cannot wait. Moo." Also, I would like Neil Harris to stay. What about you? And what about the starting 11? Would you pick Harry Smith or Steve Morrison? He finished by saying for him, he would pick Morrison, as Harry Smith needs experience but looks good for the future. That leads me into the comments where I'll be answering those questions, and I'll start with the one about Neil Harris. Yes, I want Neil Harris to stay, as he's done a great job for Millwall so far, and he's brought through the youth players in the correct way, so for that I support him fully. Now, I do worry that he may not be the right manager if Millwall's fate does go a lot darker, and by that I mean if we go closer to that relegation zone, as Harris hasn't really survived the relegation dogfight, and I don't know whether he would be able to get the players to fight on, but we'll have to see. And the answer to the second question, which is with the Steve Morrison and Harry Smith one about the starting 11, then I would actually go with using both. And what I mean by this is I'll alternate between Greggs, Morra and Smith so that you all get game time, plus Harry Smith would then get the experience that he's longing for, and that would be so useful at the time. The next person to comment was Joe Holloway, and he said, "I think I've changed my mind on Williams, as watching him, he has been this season's one of the most important stars that we've had at the club." Now, I have said for some time that I've loved Williams, so that is great to see that some of you are changing your minds on him, as he has been one of our most important players for the last couple of seasons, in my opinion. And you are forgetting that he's a versatile player, and if he wanted to leave, then I'm sure there'd be a large number of clubs that would want to get him, as he's a great squad player. Alici was the next person to comment, and he said, "Would you rather have Ben Thompson or Callum Butcher?" Now, before I say that, I thought that Alfie, Ross and Harry CD gave their opinions, and Alfie said that he would pick Callum Butcher, and Harry CD said that he would pick Ben Thompson because he has easily been one of our best players along with Marlon Romeo, and he has been somewhat consistent compared to most. Now, my opinion about Ben is that for his age, he has been much better than what Callum Butcher is. But Ben is more of a defensive player, and Butcher is more of a player that moves forward and gets the chances. So, I'm going to say Ben Thompson is my preferred player, but I do really like Callum Butcher. And it's a shame that we don't play with three midfielders, because I really think Butcher, Williams and Thompson would be great. The final person to comment was Liam Buxton, and he had a catalogue of comments, so let's take a look at them. The first is, do you think we will go up or down this year? And to this I say, seriously, you're asking that question. I know things are tough and it hasn't really been the best for Millwall so far, but it hasn't surely been the worst in the world. We are still doing okay in the league. Now, we are obviously 7 points from the drop zone. Yes, that's true. That's quite bad. But you're forgetting we have a January transfer window that has now become huge for the club, and we are also only 7 points off of the playoffs, and we still have that game in hand which we're playing playing against Charlton on Wednesday. So calm down and we'll see how the club's doing come January, at the end of January that is. So we'll see how some of the new signings that we may have got fit into the team. And the second comment was, who is your favourite Millwall player this year? Before I say anything, Alfie Ross said Aidan O'Brien, and Liam responded by singing his song, "Oh, Aidan O'Brien, oh, Aidan O'Brien." And my favourite player, I'm going to be honest here, would have to go down as Shaun Williams. Now, he has been great defending and great attacking, and he's also picked up 4 goals this season and got 2 assists, and he would have had more assists had some players been better at converting them this season, as we haven't scored as well as what we would have been doing in the last one. His final comment was, "Game over, Harris out," and I will say, just don't be negative. He's a relatively new boss, and Millwall isn't really a place where managers want to go. It would be hard to find someone that would actually take over from him, and if they did, then I don't know whether they'd do a better job than what Harris is doing at the moment, for the fact that he's brought through so many youngsters, and that's the reason why people are coming to Millwall at the moment, so we could have some great young talent joining Millwall. Now let's take a look at our weekly instalment of the Loan Watch. The first player is Paul Rooney, who is on loan at Vanarama national side Torquay United, and he played 8 minutes in their 0-0 draw with York City after coming on as a sub for David Fitzpatrick, who's also on loan from AFC Wimbledon. The next player is David Ford, who kept his 9th clean sheet of the season as Portsmouth drew 0-0 with Hartlepool. And the final player is Cowan-Hall, who played 90 plus 1 minutes in the match which they played, and he didn't score, and he was yellow carded in the 82nd minute before being subbed off for Miles Weston. Into Millwall's match, and as you are fully aware, we lost 3-0 to the current table toppers Scunthorpe United, and well, there aren't really many positives, I'm going to be honest, but the one that I would say that could potentially be seen as a positive is that Shaun Hutchinson made his Millwall return, and also Steve Morrison came on as a substitute. But apart from that, we were wasteful with our chances that we had, and we conceded a few sloppy goals, and to be honest, we didn't really turn up to play in a match, and as Harris said, we lost the games ourselves. Now for that reason, it makes it hard to choose a player of the week, but for making a full return and not playing too bad, I'll pick Shaun Hutchinson, who will have a huge couple of games ahead of him to fight for a selection in the Millwall team. Obviously, you have to see after returning from injury whether he's going to be the main centre-back or not. And finally, we have come to the final section of the podcast. Yes, that's right, it is time for the Millwall news. And the first story comes from Millwall manager Neil Harris, who said that it's likely he'll be making changes for the next match against Millwall's rivals Charlton. As he said, 3 errors meant that we lost the last one, and if people are making those errors, I'm picking the wrong team. We have been very unlucky from a scoring sense, but the goals will come eventually, so we just have to get the goal, and then once we've got that one, I reckon we'll be scoring again. Chris Twaddock is the next player to be involved in the story, and it's because he said he'd be happy to go out on loan to progress like Jamie Philpott and Alfie Pavey have done, because he has seen how it has benefited the two of them. This comes after Millwall got knocked out of the Checkatrade Trophy, where he featured 3 of the matches out of the 4 that Millwall actually played after getting knocked out by Wickham. Millwall defender Byron Webster is the topic of the next story, as he is injured at the moment and may miss the derby game against Charlton, meaning that Millwall have 3 main defensive options for the centre-back role, those being Sid Nelson, Shaun Williams as he can play centre-back, or even Shaun Hutchinson, who has finally made his return from injury. The next story is one announcing that David Ford will not be returning to Millwall until the end of the season, meaning he will see out his loan at Portsmouth, then rejoin Millwall after his spell is up. Neil said that David Ford would make a great goalkeeping coach, so could that be a hint to where his future may lie? And the final story is to do with Gregg Wylde, as he could be on his way out of Millwall in the January transfer window to get first team football. Obviously he did sign in the summer, but Neil Harris said he will speak to him after Christmas if Gregg hasn't broken into the team, and he said it's a shame because Millwall's wide men have done really well this season, so Wylde hasn't really had a chance to feature so much. So that is all we got time for today at least. Do feel free to put your questions and opinions in the comments section for the next Talk the Wall. However, before I go, don't forget to put your score predictions for the Charlton Athletic derby game and also the home tie against Swindon in the comments section, as next week I'll be covering the game and highlighting the good and bad points, and why don't you tell me how you felt those matches went and Millwall as a whole. So like, comment, subscribe, and of course I will see you guys next week for the next Talk the Wall. But until then, goodbye.